Good evening, everyone. It's Friday, and welcome to Beauty and Gratitude with me, D'angelo Thompson, your host. And as you know, we've had some great shows. I hope you got a chance to see Hisham Umlil talk about his ready to wear line, Umlil, which was amazing last week. And a lot of people were very inspired. And this week, I have a great, amazing woman, Candice Harper, who's also a love coach, matchmaker, if you will. And I just love watching her social media and the advice she gives about, yourself and your relationships and how to just evolve. So I wanted to have her come on. And there was a last minute request, and she said yes. Thank you, Candice. So I want to introduce Candice Harper, everyone. Hi, Candice.
Hi, my love. How are you?
I am so good. I'm so good. We're taping this, guys. So it's Sunday. So happy Sunday.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Happy Sunday to you as well. It's been a lovely Sunday so far. How are you
Yes,
doing this
I'm
fine?
great. It's beautiful. I had brunch with a new friend that I met up here in Boston, where I'm working at the moment, and just
Oh,
a very, very nice guy, young guy, but we learned just a lot of like kinetic energy, friendship,
nice. I love it.
so,
I love
and
it.
I'm learning to be open to whatever develops friendship or whatever, just
Yeah,
make a connection.
absolutely. I think those of us who work in different cities should do that in every city we go to is make those connections because you never
It's
know.
true. It's
Yeah,
true. And it makes your experience in that city even more worthwhile, you
yeah,
know?
definitely.
So, what made you want to become a love coach and matchmaker?
That's a great question. So it's a two-part question. What made me want to become a love coach? I always say I have a formula for how you find define your purpose. It's your talents plus your passions multiplied by your challenges equals your purpose. And so,
Hmm,
right? And you remember from another life, I was working in television, working in art direction, and for all of those years, one of my biggest challenges was relationships and having relationships and sustaining relationships, but also was always interested in personal growth. Always loved to be in a conversation around love and all of that stuff. So when I left television, it was a natural segue for me to go into this whole coaching world, the personal growth world, because I was already passionate about it. I was already talented at the conversations. And the challenge was, how do I get to a place where I can sustain relationships, clean up relationships that weren't working, understand other people, have connections with people. And that's how love coaching kind of evolved, right? Then cut to matchmaking, which actually found me. And matchmaking is, I'm minimizing the matchmaking a little bit because that's a little more of like a side thing that I do. It found me on LinkedIn. My first matchmaking job found me, and each one, subsequent after that, I just took them on as contracts because it's like a little fun side gig where I can make a little money and also continually talk with people who are in the dating realm, right?
right.
And continually be helping people who are in the dating realm. But my passion, my purpose is the love coaching.
It must be very fulfilling to connect people on a deeper level, is it?
It is. I mean, in the sense that, the reason that I love the coaching so much more is because I get to be in on connecting people with themselves on a deeper level first. Whereas with the matchmaking, because it's not my company, those people that I work with, they come at all stages of readiness. And sometimes that stage of readiness is not ready at all. And unless we do some coaching, they're usually having a very difficult, resistant time. So I do take pleasure in working around that challenge with people where I'm your matchmaker, not officially your coach, but I'm there to kind of at least get you to a point where you can make the most out of your matchmaking investment.
Yes. So, for instance, like what kind of advice would you give to a divorcee, right? Or a single person new to the dating arena? Because it is an arena with so many apps that you can join. you know.
Yeah. My first, it would depend on what stage of divorce they're in, but my first would be to heal anything you have with that ex, like any
Ooh.
leftover resentment, any hurt that you might still be nursing, like heal all of that because it might not have originated with that ex. Work on that first, and then say, okay, now I'm ready to begin dating. Let yourself be alone for a period of time. And I don't mean
Mhm.
that kind of resistance to alone where it's like, I gotta get in another relationship. I gotta get in another relationship. Like actually just be with alone for at least until you feel healed and healthy.
That's interesting because there have been times when I've dated and I've taken time to heal, and like you said, sometimes it's not what they did, it's your residual stuff that
Exactly.
keeps traveling with you and you
Yeah.
have to process it. Recently I said to the universe, I'm like, I'm ready. I'm like, I am so ready right now. And it's different because I thought I was ready many years ago, as you know. I wasn't.
Yeah. Right?
I know now. I was like, oh, I know I'm ready now because I'm just
Yeah.
different, more nurturing, loving, wanting the balance, you
Yeah.
know, maybe I didn't want before because it was all about work before that. So now it's like, that's nice. Work is nice, but it's also balanced to have someone special as well, you
I hear
know.
that. And here's
So
the thing, you're not alone with that thinking of readiness, because I think on some level we all want to feel like we're ready, and then we start to think that we're ready and we think we've moved all the things out of the way, but there's only one indicator of our true readiness
mhm,
is the
that's true.
relationship. The
The
relationship.
relationship,
That's
right?
how you know you're ready.
Oh, that's honey. You know,
Right?
I call this the season of love for many reasons, Hanukkah, Christmas, and just for me, I feel a shift in December, maybe because it's the end of the year on a Gregorian calendar, or maybe it's just because, it's just things are winding down in all aspects of business. Um, so, in a season of love, what do you feel right here, right now?
Well, first, when you say season of love, it makes me want to sing that song, 525,600.
600
Right?
minutes. Yes.
Right? But what do I feel right now in a season? Right? Exactly. And also too, everyone talks about that it's a season of love, and also it's cuffing season, right? Because it is such a warm, kind of nostalgic time of year. It's that time when we do want to be close, we want to be cuddly. And so for me, on a personal level, I mean, you know that I just recently relocated to be closer to my family, and post COVID, I'm in a season of love that says, find the cuddly and the warmth and be close with everyone who's around you in your life. People that I haven't been able to spend time with during COVID and isolation. And also, people that I either kind of took for granted that they were in my life, or people that I hadn't really taken the time to get to know. So, I mean, how that pertains to my love life is that I'm just in a space of like openness. Cause I've only recently sort of evolved out of my own season of singleness after a very abusive relationship. So
Mhm.
now I'm at a point where I'm like, I'm ready for openness, closeness, cooking for people, enjoying togetherness. And I started that with Thanksgiving, and I've just been meeting so many people here in Virginia. It's like, yeah, it's community oriented for me right now.
That's interesting. Last year, as you know, we are all kind of locked down. But
Yeah,
as it started to loosen up, I started having a few people over every other Sunday, and I would cook
mhm,
dinner for up to about 7 people.
yeah,
And I love it. I love the idea of like cooking the meal, shopping for the meal, and then cooking it, choosing
mhm,
the wines, making the dessert, and then having them come over, let's say at 7. And I have it in my head that we're going to spend 3 hours talking, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
Because I find often and at least you come from New York, I come from New York as well. It's like, let's meet out to a restaurant, let's meet out for
right,
coffee. Rarely did you go to people's homes and sit
mhm,
and chat. And I told myself I will start that tradition because it's very important to me. So, as a partner enters into that, that is
mhm,
something I hope we can incorporate into our lives. So, yeah,
absolutely,
definitely intimacy and family and loved ones is very
yeah,
important.
yeah.
Cool.
I'm being cuddly. I got my big old dog. Just any kind of opportunity to cuddle. You know, friends, family, my dog, whoever
Oh
I'm
yeah,
good.
love you.
Right? Right.
When you think of the word intention, what does that bring up for you?
Intention. I mean, a lot of things come up around intention because I think, it pertains, I mean, in my life right now, it pertains to what I'm trying to create in it, my intention and why I have that intention. But I also think what comes up for me is how it shows up in relationships, and how important it is to be aware of intention, and to be an open, questioning space with the people we connect with so that we can know each other's intentions. Like, I think that intention has a lot of different layers and meaning.
A lot of layers and a lot of power,
Yeah.
I remember a few months ago, I said with intent, I want to do more films. And I said it was just like boom, and I let it go.
Yeah.
A day or two later, I got a movie.
Yeah.
After that finished, another one came. I was like, ooh, 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 I gotta be more careful. I gotta be really specific.
Right? You say
Be a
it.
little bit more specific with that intention.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love it. I do think it's often we should move forward with intention and
Yeah.
purpose and the knowingness, but also open to that things may shift, and
Yeah.
veer left or veer right or go straight ahead. And I think that can throw a lot of people off, you know, because
Yeah.
it may not go the way they want it to. So I try to trust in the flow
Yeah.
of what the universe, the goddess of love, the goddess of whatever
Yeah.
wants to do for us and lead us to. Is
Inspired
there ever What were you saying?
inspired action. So yeah,
Yeah,
we set up our word. It's like integrity, intention, and inspired action. So you set up your word, what you want, your vision board, whatever, and then you can have intent around that. And once you commit to it, you just take inspired action.
yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Inspired action, is there ever a time a person should not, um, what's the word I'm looking for? I wrote it down. When a person should not date.
I love it.
I know you talked about being fully healed before you move
Mm,
into another relationship. That's
yeah.
that's number one for sure. But is this a time that you just sit your ass down and just not,
Not
be
date.
in the market and not date?
Well, I mean, it's interesting question because I'm very much conscious of the ideas of shoulds and shouldn'ts. And I always say, you want to be careful with dating coaches who tell you what you should and should not do. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think, right, I do think that there's something to be said for feeling at ease and healthy and knowing yourself and being in your body. But I also always want us to be careful of not shaming ourselves or making ourselves wrong for supposedly doing it at the wrong time. So when you look back on when you've chosen a date or how the trajectory of your relationships were, to look back on it and say I should not have done that is disempowering. But when you're looking
Yes,
ahead,
I
right,
agree.
the idea is that it's not whether you what should I or shouldn't I date. It's moment to moment, what's going on with my relationship with myself and how I'm viewing love, right?
Mhm.
And if I meet someone and I find them attractive, even if, when I left my abusive relationship, in the throes of that, if I'd met someone and I found them attractive, if my practice is that I'm going to be in a loving space around myself, I can spend time with people who can support that. So it
Right.
should or shouldn't I spend time with someone who is supporting where I'm at right now, in the
Mhm.
sense that they show up in my life in a way that aligns with going slow or
Mhm.
healing or just
Mhm.
getting to know you as a friend.
Yes.
You know
Yes.
what I mean? As opposed to let me set myself up to be now I'm dating. So now it's like, this is my commitments and my to-do list and all of that. Rather, it's how am I feeling? Does this feel in alignment with where I'm trying to go right now?
Yeah, and being less rigid, if you will.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back with more Beauty and Gratitude after these messages.
Um, it's funny. I was telling a friend I went to brunch earlier about someone I dated. I won't say date. Someone I had sex with for
Mhm.
14 years,
Yeah.
which you don't even know about. I don't think. From
Oh,
2006 to 2020, there was one
okay.
person that I slept with that whole time, and I
Yeah.
finally started telling friends that they're like, you really don't date. You really are. You don't have sex. I said, well, that's not true. It's actually I had someone that I
Yeah.
was seeing for 14 years, and as of 2020, I think the last time I saw him was December 2020. And before I moved to LA, I'd had a discussion with him, and I said, hey, I think we were doing each other a disservice
Mm.
by just having this fling because it's not allowing us to be open to others. At least for me, I can speak for myself. It wasn't allowing me to be open for others because that one side that I needed fulfilled, that carnal side of myself, that passionate side, he watered that for me, you know? And then the business and the work and the whatever else I was doing that. So in a sense, it was balanced for me at that moment.
Yeah.
But then I came to a point where I was like, I think I'm doing you, that person, a disservice. And I think I'm doing myself a disservice because I'm putting all that energy that could be out there,
Mhm.
filtering and drawing in something more, you know? But it was fun. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not knocking it. And I tell people sometimes you need to just have that raw, he's Argentinian, so that raw passion, you
Yeah.
know, and be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, okay, thank you, bye. Okay, we're good." You know? But
Good.
we have a lot of respect for each other. We're still friends, you know, we still connect, you know, we still check in. But the relationship was not in the equation because in the beginning, the person told me I am never faithful. And I
Mm.
heard that loud and clear, you
Yeah.
know? And I didn't, you know how sometimes people hear something, but they try to change, oh, I'll change that person. No,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
told me who you are. I believe you. But hey, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with no strings attached. That was the conversation. And to me, that is an adult conversation when you can say to someone, this is purely physical, there are no strings attached. It doesn't mean you're not going to respect them or
Yeah.
be safe or conscious of them, but it's just saying that I'm not putting you in that boyfriend or husband box, you
Yeah.
know. You're
Mhm.
you're kind of in a different you're a hookup, but it was a 14-year hookup.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I to admit that and to speak that out loud because many of my close friends did not know it. And I think I started telling them earlier this year and last year. They're like, What? I think
Oh,
a
surprise.
lot of them thought like I was a monk, like I wasn't doing anything. I was like, oh no, 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 no. I'm a very virile, passionate person. I'm just private, you know? That's the
Yeah.
difference. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think also what you're speaking to is attachment, right? So a lot of times when we are with someone, the reason that we might be challenged to do something like that is because we get so attached to what we're trying to create, that one person being it. So you
Yeah.
made the decision that that was going to be the dynamic of your relationship, two consenting adults saying this is our dynamic.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, we have to do what aligns with what we need in that moment, right? And if you've got an agreement with each other, you know, I say more power to you. I mean, we
Yeah.
have to do what in each moment, what feels in alignment with what we want, right? And
Hmm.
then when it wasn't working for you anymore, you said, okay, because I
Yeah.
want,
Yeah.
yeah,
Want something more. And I'm like, but live well and be blessed, which I truly mean.
yeah,
And he has a partner now, and I know who his partner is and all of that. And I'm like, that's great. And for me, though, I'm looking at the grander, bigger picture, of course, as always. And
mhm,
I'm like, okay, I want more than what that was, you know? So
yeah,
it's interesting.
yeah.
You know, I was going to ask you this. What are you grateful for?
Oh my goodness gracious. Like so much, because you know the few just a few years ago it was like a dark night of the soul, and I look at my life now and it's completely unrecognizable compared. So, I mean, I'm grateful for, first of all, the geography and the affordable luxury that is Virginia compared to New York City.
Yes.
You know, I'm grateful for all the new people that I've met since I've relocated. And, you know, my morning hike with my dog every morning, my family, getting to be able to see them, the strength of my body. I'm going to be 50 years old in January, but I feel like I better than I did when I was 17.
You look
So great.
great.
Oh, thank you, honey.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm grateful for, you know, clean drinking water and so many
Yes.
privileges that, you know, large percentage of the world doesn't get to take advantage of. Like just grateful for life and breath and, you know, that my elderly parents are still alive. I could go on. This could go for a long time.
No, but and the reason I always do this because I think people once it hits them, they're like, "Oh, there's a lot I'm thankful for and grateful for," you know?
Yeah,
And you know,
absolutely.
I can see it. The moment I, you know, logged in to see you, I'm like, "Oh, hello, Candice." You know, I haven't met her. I haven't met this Candice, you know? I am now, and I
Yeah.
love it. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it.
And I love
I
that you
think
say that because we've known each other since 2009, 2009, 2008, I
9,
think.
2008 actually. Mm,
Yeah, the
yeah.
first time we met. So yeah, this is My life is unrecognizable from then and in between. So
Honey, same here. You know it. Same here. And I think it's because we chose to be brave and take a leap of faith to leave New York,
yeah,
and to understand that it is always a part of our DNA and it's there if we choose to go back to it, you know,
absolutely.
but in a different way. Saying that to be
Yeah,
listeners in a different way. Um,
right.
yeah, yeah. It's like holding on. I equate, and this many people may get upset when I say this. I equate New York to an abusive boyfriend that kind of
That's
or
what I always
girlfriend,
say. Did we ever have that conversation?
or husband or wife, whatever you want to call her.
Right? I say the
It,
same.
it's like, oh, let me show you the world. Let me show you the lights of Broadway, Lincoln Center, and a hot date and a wonderful dinner and the best fashion and the best everything. And then, oh, I'm just gonna kick you a little bit for the next few months.
Right?
But you better stay happy and you better draw that energy and that success to you. Oh my God, I love you. And then for a few years, it's great. And then she karate chops you. And then she's like, get up.
Ooh, it's so
So
and it also
I
can't
say that,
stop.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And hopefully it does stop. And I think what it is a shift in our own consciousness and our own minds, but also energetically, New York is very different than Virginia and actually very different than LA energetically. There is a toughness to it that says, okay, get up. Where Virginia or other places around the world, not just in the US, but around the world, you can step back,
Yeah.
you
You can
know,
rest.
and then dive in if you choose.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's so
So
funny because I used to make that same metaphor about New York being an abusive boyfriend and also, that constant feeling of like I love him so much, but I know I need to leave him at some point. Like
and
that was my paradigm.
I struggled with that for over a decade. I was like, I
Yeah.
want to leave, but I
Yeah.
want to leave, but I have to accomplish this. I want to leave, but I have to do this. And then finally, it was the end of 2016, and I was on a rooftop for a Royalton Hotel in Midtown. They had a New Year's Eve party that was fabulous, and I was on the rooftop, and we'd already counted down, and someone cupped my assets. Sorry, Brian. Cupped my butt. Not. I didn't invite it. And I was like, hey, 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 none of. And I tapped his hand. I said, hey, none of that.
Yeah.
And I went outside on the balcony, and it was snowing a little bit. Beautiful night, but it was cold. It was brutally cold. And I remember saying to the universe, or hearing, not saying, hearing, you've done New York inside and out. There's not much more you can do here.
Yeah.
You know, free, explore. And that night, I made the decision I was going to move at the end of the year, and
Wow.
everything propelled me towards that. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Absolutely.
yes.
I see that.
Well, you have
Mine,
to honor that those
yeah.
little whispers. You know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mine wasn't as much of a whisper and it wasn't that graceful and delicate. Mine was more like, all right, you're done. Get out of here. I figured out you can't afford it no more. You need to go. Got
Yes.
nothing for you. So yeah, mine was a little more abrupt, but that ended up being the best thing to happen to me. Is just to have it all break down so that I could build it back up.
And it's sad because a lot of people had to do that in 2020, and a lot of people left New York, Candice, after us.
Yeah.
Like in droves.
Yeah.
And they're saying the same thing right now. They're like, what were we thinking?
Yeah.
Like, we can have a home now, and if we
Huh?
choose to work for a company in New York City, we can work remotely, or we can go there once a week or once or twice every 2 weeks to work. It just redefines our lives, and it leans more into our self-love and our self-care, you know?
Absolutely. I will say that I had the COVID experience about a year pre-COVID because there was
Mm,
a long period of time in there, especially when my relationship was breaking down, that I was very isolated. It was like I was quarantining myself. I was very much in the throes of depression and anxiety. So I was isolated and mostly in my apartment, trying to fake like I was working remotely, but just in there,
yeah.
marathon watching things on Netflix and whatever. And as life was breaking down around me, and then when I did have to leave New York, it was right before COVID. So I left and ended up in a situation where the pressure valve released. where I didn't have to spend even a fraction as much money for my living expenses. Pressure valve released, and I was like able to actually breathe because I wouldn't have done that, as a powerful decision at that time. And so the weirdest thing was that as I was gone, and I was renting our friend's cottage, it was like a couple of months before we got locked down in New York City. And so it seemed like everybody started to have that same experience that I had just gone through before
Yeah.
the pandemic. You know what I mean? It was a weird thing. Although obviously everyone was going through it with that fear of the pandemic. I didn't have the fear of the pandemic, but I was having my own private pandemic in my depression and, my own anxiety thoughts. But I feel like it was kind of a shift, a wave that was meant to happen for masses of people. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Yeah.
The universe, I think she's been commanding that of all of us to elevate.
Yeah.
So, the dark night of the soul, so that many of us can get to the other side, to be
Yeah.
warriors, if you will, of light for others, you
Yeah.
know?
Definitely.
Um, and that's definitely how I see it because, I was going through my stuff too,
Yeah.
and oftentimes I wanted to we checked in with each other. We'd go to lunch or coffee or a movie or whatever, just something simple to have, an interaction, a love interaction, if you will, a friendship, So I think it's very important.
Yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
us about your. Mhm.
I'm glad that we maintained through all the years and all the ups and downs, you and I.
Yes, yes, yes. And
Right? Makes
so
me
I
happy.
want people to know how they can reach you for love coaching for all of your platforms. So can you please tell us? Would love to hear about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're interested in coaching, so you can email me at Candice@CandiceHarperLoveCoach.com and just say, I want the complimentary consultation link or exclusive consultation. However you want to word it, just make sure you let me know you want the link so that I can send it to you. You can qualify for a private consultation. And
Great.
another way to just get in touch with me or just hear my content, hear my message is to go on Instagram at Candy Love Coach or on TikTok at Candy Love Coach. It's not just the kids on TikTok anymore.
I love your TikToks, by the way. And I share them often. If you haven't noticed in the past 2 weeks, you've been giving some amazing advice. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, honey. Thank you for the support too. I love that you comment and everything. Yeah, I
Oh,
appreciate
yes. Okay.
it. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a good way too. People can also DM me on Instagram and on TikTok as well. Like if they come and see some of the content, they want to ask me questions. I love interaction. I will always talk back to you, follow you back, all that stuff. It's very much about engagement for me.
That's great. So what great advice can we leave people with for 2022 as we wind to a close, enter
Yeah,
into a new cycle, a new year, a new birthday for you? You
I
know,
know.
what advice would you give our listeners?
I feel like 2022 is going to be all about grace, starting with
Mm,
yourself, fill yourself up, giving yourself grace so that you can overflow onto others. And I feel like going into 2022 with that intention, everything that you dream of will be found. Just give
that's
yourself
wonderful.
grace.
Give yourself
Yeah.
grace. And I would agree with that, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. It really is about grace. It's about gratitude. And it's just about moving forward with love and patience. And that's been truly something I've had to work on, the patience part. And I'm getting there slowly but surely. Candice, thank you for being on Beauty and Gratitude. Thank you so much.
Thank
Mwah.
you for having me.
Everyone, thank you for watching Beauty and Gratitude. I'll see you here next week. Thank you.